All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, men and women all across the fruited plains, welcome to the Psychology of the Sales class tonight. This is the Doctor of Insurance, Gary Keith, coming to you live from beautiful Raleigh, North Carolina, 7:30 p.m. on July 17th, 2023. This is where we learn how to get better at this game we call selling life insurance, final expense in particular, but it really applies to all life insurance. It's a way for you to dot your I's, cross your T's. It's a way for you to actually get deep into understanding not only why you say what you say, but what you say and how to say it appropriately by using voice inflections, by learning how to read someone's demeanor, their body language, but at the same time, learning why you're saying what you're saying, peeling back the curtains, peeling the onion, getting deep into what motivates someone to take action, not tomorrow, not next week, not next month, but actually today. We're in the one call sale business. That's what we are. And so if someone keeps putting you off and putting you off and putting you off, it's not Miss Betty and it's not Mr. Billy. It's actually something you're either doing or not doing, something you're saying or not saying that's causing that to happen, whether it's a trust issue, whether it's a credibility issue, whether it's a likability issue, whether it's so many different issues that we're going to cover here with the Doctor of Insurance tonight. I love what I do. I have a passion with what I do. I think my clients feel that. I think a lot of it is confidence sometimes. I think the more that you're confident in what you do, that you actually, that exudes from your body, your mind, your eyes, your tongue, everything that you do. And I think that your clients can sense it, they can feel it. And I'm going to try to, I just muted Janet. All righty. So with that in mind, let's get started tonight with the psychology of the sale with the Doctor of Insurance, where we help provide healing. We provide actually remedies and prescriptions for people's aches and pains in the financial world, actually in the insurance world. You're making an impact on people's lives. You're making a difference in their lives on a daily basis. Just imagine the door that you knocked on today, the door that you knocked on tomorrow is going to make a difference in a beneficiary's life, in a child's life, in a brother or sister's life, in a parent's life. You're making a huge impact. And the greatest call that you'll ever receive in this business is when a child calls you and they're going to say, I understand my mom or dad had a policy with you, Gary, or Benita, or Johnny, or Michael, or Brian, or George, or hey, Melvin, somebody. We understand they had a policy with you. We need to use it. And I'm going to tell you what, to hear them shed those tears and hear their voice cracking on the other end, and to know that you were a difference maker, that you hung in there when other people bowed out, that you took the time with Miss Betty, that you knocked on these doors in the 95-degree heat, that you knocked on those doors when it was below freezing, that when you knocked on those doors when it didn't look like anybody lived there, that you put a sticky note on there, they called you back. You did all these activities. And when you answer that phone call from those kids, it's going to put a lump in your throat. It's going to give you goosebumps on your arms and your back. It's going to give a tingling feeling in the back of your neck. It's going to make a difference in what you do for a living. That's why I love this business so much. There's a lot of things you can sell in life. There's a lot of jobs you can have in life, but very few give you that emotional satisfaction that this kind of business does. That's why I spend so much time in it, because I love it so much. I can't get enough of it. And I hope you're starting to feel the same way in what you do. Please feel free to use the chat button with your questions, comments, thoughts, or suggestions, and I'll be glad to try to answer those for you and to address those to help you feel better and more comfortable at what you're doing. If you've been with me for a while, you know there's a process. At Retirement Income Life, we call it a 5-step process. All I did, and I've been doing this for many, many years, is I broke it down to little bite-sized pieces, and I kind of hit some points in between those things, but it's really all the same thing. We're covering the same 5 steps, but I had a 10-step process. But really, connectivity, which is warm-up, and credibility is really the same step process. So I really could combine that. I really could combine the need development and the health assessment and discount area together. So I could combine these really and get to 5 steps, which is what we do at Retirement Income Life. I break it down in the Psychology of the Sale class and even in bite-sized, smaller pieces so that you can digest it a little bit better, so that it can make a little bit more sense to you. So with that in mind, if you remember from weeks ago, we talked about an introduction, which is understanding your marketplace. Send me a message in the chat line of what's something special and unique about this market? Type it out real quickly. What is something that sets this market apart in your studies, in your learnings, in your trainings? What's something that motivates this market? What moves them? What's their hot button? Tell me something about this market that maybe someone who's new on here hasn't figured out yet. And it's something you're using that you already know that you're finding great success with. Hit it in the chat button. What are you finding? I got to find my chat button now because I've put myself up here. There's my chat button. Okay. Type out something in the chat button. I don't want to do all the talking, all the learning, all the training. You tell me what you've learned so far about your market. And I'll give you something while you're thinking about what you're going to write down. This market to me is salt of the earth. What that means is they're humble, unassuming. They're unlike my long-term care market, which, is different. They're not going to refer their neighbors and friends and family to you. Miss Betty will, because she actually had to go out and beg, borrow, and steal last year to bury her brother who didn't have anything in place. She went out there and asked people to contribute to his cremation or burial. They're humble, very unassuming, laid back, low key. They may not have the greatest amount of assets and really high on the economic totem pole. That's not always the case. Many are middle America and below on the economic totem pole. That's what sort of makes them unique. So if Gary comes in and he's putting himself on a pedestal, and if he comes across as bigger and better because maybe he lives in a little bit nicer house or drives a little bit nicer car, or maybe wears a little bit nicer clothes, if he comes across as better than Miss Betty or Mr. Billy, they're going to read you like a book. They're going to sense it. They're going to feel it. So I'm right there with my clientele. Now, if I'm going to see a businessman or a businesswoman, and I'm at their business and we've been talking about retirement planning and using IULs to do that, index universal life policies, then I'll perhaps conduct myself and come across a little bit differently. In this business, you learn to become a chameleon. You match what your client is doing and saying and becoming and is and behaves and talks and sounds like, and their mannerisms. That's who you are. You become a chameleon through the process. So type out, chat line, something unique about this marketplace that gives you an edge because you feel like you understand it. What's something great about them? I used humble, unassuming, salt of the earth. What is yours? Melvin says this market is very genuine. They have lots of passion about family. Amen, Melvin. Amen, brother. TV, grandkids, community, hobbies, etc. Things that I'll second that 100%. Somebody else come out with something else while I address this, but it's so true. Family means something to them. They grew up, man, where family come together every Sunday and probably still do a lot of cases for Sunday dinner. How many times you ask Miss Betty, so how many brothers and sisters do you have? We got 8, 10, 12. Do you folks still get together for family reunions every year? You do? Where do you usually meet? That's a conversation in and of itself. Unlike my long-term care market or my higher end insurance market, you rarely find stuff like that. No, we maybe FaceTime or we may talk by phone, but we don't have family reunions. You ask Miss Betty about her family reunions, the food, the cooking, the rubbing shoulders, the hugging, the love. You're right, Melvin. I mean, you're absolutely right. The grandkids, all that stuff is really, really, really powerful in what we do. And that matters. And if you're not on that level with them, I'm going to suggest that you learn to with understanding your market. Perhaps you're an only child. Perhaps you're not big in the family. That's fine. but you got to find a way to address and come close with Miss Betty or Mr. Billy on their family, grandkids, community, hobbies. Great job, Melvin. All right. You also mentioned here, Michael did about empathize. Yes, learning to empathize with Miss Betty. What I call this is learning to walk a mile in your neighbor's shoes. If you notice, I'm using stuff out of the book. When I talk about salt of the earth, when I talk about learning to walk a mile in your neighbor's shoes, this is what you're doing. Miss Betty, I totally can understand that. I had a very similar experience. Learning to be sensitive to other people's issues, needs, challenges, and their things of life. I tell you what, that is big, Michael Thomas. I'm glad you shared that with us, because the more you learn to empathize with people, the more they feel like you're listening and that you care and they want to do business with you. I'm going to tell you though, this final expense business is easy to be a wham bam, thank you ma'am kind of sale. I see it happening. I see it all the time. They come in, they do a quick howdy doody, they do a quick, find your medications, they do a quick pulling out 3 option worksheet, and they do a quick close and out the door, and never see or talk to them again, and no branding, communication, nothing. It was like very transactional. This is totally not a transactional sale. Totally the opposite. It is 100%, not 100, 90% emotional, and you solidify it with some logic. Very good point, Michael. Melvin, you have to find yourself transition lot because they love to talk. You're right about that, Melvin. You're so true. You do. You learn how to operate with diplomacy, meaning you don't hurt their feelings, but learning how to use a little bit of humor to move forward, use a little bit of things they say to learn how to move forward, but you're tiptoeing through the tulips, if you will, through the process. But you do. If you don't, and the reason why this is happening, Melvin, is because we're their only entertainment for the week. And that's tongue in cheek, but it's true. Most of their kids don't talk to them. Sometimes their grandkids don't talk to them. Sometimes they're very lonely, that they need people to chat with. They don't get out very much. So sometimes that happens. So you have to learn to move it on. If not, you'll be there all day. So great point. Learn to transition. Joe, they have a love for the Lord. They have a love for the Bible. They have a love for that. They love to just talk with others, as most don't have the technology to communicate. Right? Great point. They're not big into the internet. They're not big into maybe social media a lot of times. They're not, you're right. And so I know where I am in the Bible Belt in the Southeast. You're right. I mean, you mentioned, I had one pray with me the other day. She said, do you mind if I say a prayer for both of us? And I'm like, this is the greatest business in the world. And perhaps you're not into prayer. That's okay if you're not. Perhaps you're not into the God thing, and that's fine. I'm not telling you what to do or how to live your life. But I know this market. I can tell you what this market does. This market is big into that. So if that's not you, you got to find a way to work around that. You got to find a way to embrace that to a certain degree from your clientele, because they love to talk about it, and they love to talk about, that's why I mentioned in part of my credibility statement, my dad, Miss Betty, used to make me go to church every Sunday, whether I wanted to or not. You know what? One of the reasons why I say that, because it's true. But number 2 is Miss Betty lived the same life. She walked the same roads I did. She did. Her parents made her go to church. And they don't care how late she was out Saturday night. Girl, you're getting your butt up and you're going. Now, back then, parents ruled with a iron hand, so a lot of times. And so they told their kids they're going to go to church, and they did. A little bit different today, I realize that. But one of the reasons why I say that, because I had to do it, but I was Betty, and she'll go, yeah, this is getting back to, what did you say earlier? Someone said this, empathize. I walked a mile in Miss Betty's shoes right then, just right then with that statement. And I know it 100%. My dad said, Miss Betty, if you don't work, you don't eat. Let me tell you how many times her parents told her that, probably every other day when she grew up as a kid. Girl, you're not getting anything for free. Girl, if you want that, you go save up your money for it. I'm not giving you no card. You go figure out how to get it yourself. That's how Miss Betty grew up. She did. So did Mr. Billy. they come up through tough times and they had to work for what they got. You don't work, you don't eat. Those are all principles and philosophies to grow with. You might be 20 years younger than me, 30 years younger than me. You might be saying, yeah, what are you talking about, man? You got to figure it out, figure out who your market is. So great stuff there. Learn to realize who your market is. Thanks for that. Okay, let's move on to the next section because we'll be here all night. I could spend all night long in the market. The next part of this is learning how to, once you understand your market, is going to the connectivity stage. Now you call it warm up. You may call it building rapport. I call it something deeper. Make a note of it. It's connectivity. Everybody communicates, very few connect. Some of you have gotten that book with John Maxwell, one of the best books you'll ever read on communication, in my opinion. It helps you with relationships in your home, your family, your kids, grandkids. It helps you in your sales process, learning how to connect on their level. And that's where you have that connection of things that are not even said. It's the things that are unsaid a lot of times that makes that connection for it. I call it spirit to spirit, heart to heart, whatever you want to call it. There's a connectivity stage that happens with your clientele. Now you can do this with higher end sales as well, but it really works well with Miss Betty and Mr. Billy. Share with me on the chat line something you do that helps you connect with Miss Betty or Mr. Billy on a really high level. What are you saying? What are you doing that's demonstrating that you're not only just building a little rapport or a little warm up, but you're actually making a connection? Share with me, share with the team. What are you doing that's making it go a little deeper than just spitting out a few words about, hey, those pictures look pretty on the wall, or man, that's a nice flagpole we got in the yard. What are you doing to make a connection with your clientele, that they can sense it, they can feel it? What are you doing? Share with me on the chat line. I shared with you a few things earlier, right, during my credibility statement. But what are you doing during the connectivity stage?
But we have made the decision. And the 5-star chef that will have the keys to the palm port is.
I'm not sure if that was me or for somebody else. Okay, but let's see what the chat line says. Let's see what we got here now. Let's see what we got on here. Asking rhetorical questions to investigate who they really are and finding out what is important to them. Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, no question about it. I mean, I love asking rhetorical questions, Joe, in this part, especially my credibility statement. But you could also ask it a lot in the connectivity stage as well. So learning to do that, you're learning to become a detective here in this stage, you're doing more listening than you are talking. You're learning to keep the ball up in the air. Absolutely right. Those are all things you're doing, that connectivity part. You're using a format that I call FORM, F-O-R-M, family, occupation, recreation, and money. And you're just keeping the ball up in the air. And you're asking a lot about family, because family, as Melvin said earlier, is one of the big keys to this whole sale, is learning about the kids, the grandkids. And so I don't only just ask, so how many kids you got in this family? You got 2 boys and 2 girls. My God, who stays close and who's far away? So I want to know who's in her life, who's helping her make decisions if they are or not. Well, I got 1 to cheer and 3 that are blah, blah, blah. Oh, wow. And your daughter's name here that lives locally her name is Mary. So I'm going to be using that in my credibility statement. And you have the 3 boys, one's in Maryland, one's Tennessee, and one's Alabama. And so their names are, Joe, Bob, and Ron. Okay, great. Well, sound like you're really proud of them. Sound like they've done well. What do they do? Oh, they do. Oh, that's great. There you go, Andrea, to connect experiences. That's exactly what you're doing. And you're connecting all this stuff. Well, that's interesting, Miss Betty. You have 4 kids. Don't fall in the 4, Miss Betty. I got 4 boys and 4 girls. and her eyes get big out of the saucer. We're making that connection, right? And you came from how many, Miss Betty? 12? Where'd you fall in line? That is really incredible. And you are the second to the oldest. Is most all of them still live? Yes, they're all still living. What a blessing that is, Miss Betty. And how about your parents? Did they live a good long age? Yeah, my dad was 86 and my mom was 88. Oh my. You got good genes. You probably gonna pass 100. And they'll laugh and they'll say from your lips to God's ears, and absolutely right. I'm setting myself up to add on more coverage. And she goes, well, I already got 20,000. I'm 65. And my parents lived to 88 and 86 and grandparents to 80. And you're going to live to 100 and you're going to need more, and inflation. And all of this is kind of collecting stuff as a detective and preparing myself as I'm going down the road. You're listening to all these things. Stories are great. Making a new friend for life. Excellent, Melvin. Asking questions to establish that they rapport to make your transition flawless. Perfect. Rodney, great. Family, weather, where originally from, landscape. Yes, you're getting a big picture of who they are, their life, their background. There's so many things here that you're setting yourself up to go many different directions. See, because you got to be able to anticipate landmines down the road. If Miss Betty goes, gosh, you're a nice guy, but I should have told you this and saved you time earlier. I've already got 25,000 whole life insurance and I'm good. You know what? I've uncovered so many things during my connectivity stage. I got many angles I can go, many angles. Grandkids, another kid, there might be a disabled kid, leave an inheritance, there might be charity, there might be taxes on the property, there might be mortgage on this property. There's so many avenues I can go now outside of just regular life insurance. So that's what I'm listening for. And that's why once you learn how to do this, you'll get a sale just about on every presentation, because life insurance is so versatile. You can use it for so many different things. I mean, I love walking into a house and someone going, well, I can save you a lot of time, sonny boy, because I've already got, this is last week, 60,000 insurance and I'm good. That's what she told the last 10 agents. And they all tucked their tail between their legs and they hit the road, Jack. Not me. I'm sitting and thinking, she's got 4 different policies. What a pain this is going to be for her son at claim time. I mean, this is going to be a royal pain. And unless you've lived this, you may not know this. But I knew it off the top of my head. And I knew which angle I was going to go to. She's got 1 son. And men are the worst when it comes to detail. Not in all cases, but most of us. Girls are better at it. Women are better at it typically, especially when it comes to things like claims and claim forms and the details and the patience to sit on 4 different phone calls for 30 minutes, 45, an hour, trying to get a hold of the claims department to get somebody to get you a claim form. I know this, and you will too as time goes along. So I knew where I was going, Miss Betty. I'm going to combine them all in one policy. I want to get her some cash, because if you don't use the cash while you're living, you lose it. I want to make her son's life so much easier. You know where I picked this up at? During my connectivity stage. The son's the apple of her eyes, her only child. Right? Mr. Betty says, I got plenty of insurance. I already got 4 policies. I'm doing pretty darn good. I got whole life too. Most agents will tuck their head between their legs and they're out the door and they're gone. Not the doctor of insurance, because there's a way to make people's lives easier as we listen. Listen closely, and they'll give you the reasons why they need your policy or your services during the connectivity. They'll give it to you right there. I get it. We're nervous and we're scared and we're so busy thinking about the next question that we forget to listen to what Miss Bailey's saying. So keep the ball up in the air. That's what connectivity is. Making a connection, looking for an avenue, looking for an angle. That's what you're doing on every one of these. And it's a beautiful. Oh, 2 weeks ago, I walked in this gentleman's house. I mean, he's a hoarder. We've all been to those. Raise your hand if you've been into a hoarder's house. He had cut a path, and the son walks in, and the son rolls his eyes. He said, "Excuse this place, folks. I really am sorry about this." No, it's fine. That's fine. We're good. We're good. I don't make a big deal out of it. If they want to make a big deal, that's fine. He says, my dad throws nothing away. He's scared. You know why? Because he came through the depression times, and so did his parents. They didn't throw anything away. Like my mother. Not only did she keep the bread bag that the bread came in, she kept the little twist ties of every stinking one of them. Never threw a twist tie away or a bread bag. I said, Mom, why do you keep all this stuff? You never know when you might need it. I'm so serious. Everything, right? They didn't throw things away. They came through hard times. So they learned that every little penny, every little thing meant something to them. Mr. Billy goes, well, listen here. You know what? I'm good. I've had my policy now for 7 years and I am absolutely great. I says, no worries, Mr. Billy. Just want to sit and chat with you for a little bit. And if I can't help you, no worries. I'll be out the door real shortly here. And we were just chit-chatting. So you buying this? Oh, yeah, I own this place. What are you going to do with it if you pass away, Mr. Billy? I'm going to pass on my son here. And the son's rolling his eyes around. The first thing I'll do is clean out this place. Yeah, absolutely. Well, no worries, Mr. Bill. I said, you got a policy hanging on for 7 years. I said, do you realize that thing is built for a certain amount of cash value? And if you don't use that cash value while you're alive, you're going to lose it. I said, the cash value doesn't go to the family, only the face amount does. And so sometimes people use that cash value to pay a bill, take a trip, or do something nice for themselves. And his eyes got real big. And he stopped me in my tracks. He said, you say that if I don't use it before I die, I lose it? I said, yes, sir. He says, I've got a property tax bill right now that's due in this house September 1st, and I'm not sure where I'm going to get the money for it. We just found the angle. We just found it. He was blowing me out the door from the beginning. I found an angle, found a hot button. I knew a 7-year-old cash value policy, depending upon how much he was paying, could be $1,500 to $2,000. I said, go grab your policy, Mr. Billy. I'll see what I can do for you. He went digging through this place that was just mounds of paperwork. And he finally found it. $2,100 in cash value, and he's got a $2,200 bill. I said, there's only one problem, Mr. Billy. We got to make sure that your health can still qualify for it, because if it doesn't, we're not touching that policy with a 10-foot pole. A little bit of a takeaway, but it's actually true. He says, great, please, let's see if we can get it. I says, yes, sir. Go grab your prescription medication. I'll see what I can do for you. You're looking for angles. You're in the connectivity stage. Don't let people blow you out of the water, because there's always something there, typically, if you listen closely on every person. Next, personal credibility. Now that you've gotten their attention, you made a connection, you made a friend, you made someone they like. There's a difference between like and trust. I might like you, may not trust you 100%. So I got to differentiate between the two. And the way I do that is through a personal credibility statement. Remember, you walk in the house, you don't have credentials on the wall like the doctor, attorney, banker, or accountant. You don't have anything except your face and yourself. And you got your little insurance badge that you're wearing with you, and you got your license. So you got to come across with some personal credibility. In the chat line, tell me, what are you doing to come across as the credible person that Miss Betty or Mr. Billy wants to do business with, knocking out your competition? What are you doing? What are you saying? How do you become the guy, the gal? How do you become the doctor of insurance? How do you become the person that man, I was just going to kick this around and send in several of these things, and I was just going to look around and check around and compare other places. How do you get that out of their brain where they go, gosh, I'm not going to do that now. This person here, they're not going to say it out loud, but you can see it in their face. I'm going to do business with them. I trust them. I like them. I believe in them. I have confidence in them. How do you switch that in their mind? The psychology of the sale. How do you do that? From a closed person to person who's unsure, person who wants to compare, look, check, search, pray on it, think on it. How do you switch that? You don't do it at the end. Do it now. How do you do that? What are you saying? What separates you from everybody else? That was my goal. I learned this years ago. I was tired of people going, hey, you're a nice guy, Gary, and we really like you, but we need to kick this around and think about it for a little bit. We'll get back with you. I was like, what? I mean, at first I thought, okay, they really will. They really like me. They really will. But then I realized they're not. I kept telling my wife and my kids in the beginning, these people are going to buy it next week because they said they're nice people. They're going to do it. And they like me. We can count on it next week. Next thing you know, I realized they didn't buy groceries or keep the lights on. The hope so's, maybe so's, and mights. They didn't pay the bills. So Gary had to change something. And most people do. You have to get emphatic with yourself and a little bit tough with yourself and say, I'm not going to take this any longer. I mean, I'm pretty good at what I do. I believe in what I do. I've got confidence in what I do. I gotta transfer that to them. That's what I did. Miss Bailey, let me explain to you why I do what I do for a living. I get a little serious here. I get the heart to heart, belly to belly, and toe to toe, and face to face. Let me explain why I do what I do for a living. I want them to feel that. I want them to feel that this guy's not just kicking around insurance down the street, just kind of on a haphazard basis. He's serious about what he's doing. She's serious about what she's doing. They got confidence. In the beginning, do I had to fake that confidence a little bit? Yes, because I was nervous. I was scared. I was shaking. But you change that through your credibility statement. The best part about my job, Miss Betty, the best part about my job is when your daughter Mary is going to call me one day and she's going to say, I understand my mom had a policy with you, Gary. We need to use it. If you do nothing else but understand that sentence right there, it's so full of psychology that I can't even really explain it to you because it's so full. It would take hours. As far as projection, as far as assumption, as far as using the kid's name, as far as projecting she's going to own it today, so much psychology there. The worst part about my job, Miss Betty? You must have to see your daughter Mary had to beg, borrow, and steal and collect money to bury her mother. Have you ever seen that? Yeah. How'd that make you feel? Oh, I hated it when I had to do it with my brother. Then they get emphatic too, then they tell you their story. Now you got another connection that's going on. This is powerful stuff right here. I want you to learn how to do that and do it well. Joe, you said it right. People don't care how much you know to them, how much you care. You're right. That's the caring side. You're right, brother. That is truly sums it all up right there. Get good with your credibility statement. We got to move on, but that's the powerful part of it. And then that takes you and catapults you into having the authority now, because you created it right here, to jump into here and uncover the need. Peel back the onion, put a burr under the saddle. This is where need development comes, right here, right after this. See, if you try to go in from here to here and start asking tough questions about them and why and how come you sent the card in, you don't have the credibility. Sometimes you're going to get pushback right here without establishing yourself as a doctor of insurance. Need development says, Miss Betty, people could typically send these cards in for multiple reasons, but the main top three ones are this: not enough coverage, no coverage, or they want something. But which one best describes your situation? Sit back and listen. And then how you peel the onion is, why is it so important to you? Remember, don't take the superficial answer. Make them sell themselves. Too many salespeople are so busy trying to sell instead of creating a buying atmosphere. Remember, people hate to be sold, but they love to buy. Think about yourself. Put yourself in a buying situation or selling situation. Put yourself in going to buy a car, a home, furniture, clothing, whatever else you're buying. When you have a salesperson in your home, buy an alarm system, to buy pest control, to buy whatever else you're buying. Put yourself in that position. Don't you love it when someone makes the buying atmosphere so amazing that it didn't even feel like you're buying anything? You're like, wow, that sure was easy. Versus someone ramming, cramming, throwing stuff down your throat, and they're just oozing with sales. Don't you, right? That's me too. So you asked a question. So you say, Miss Betty, that the reason why you sent this card in was because you realize you don't have enough insurance and you want to see if you can get some more. So why is that so important to you, Miss Betty? This gets to the real reason. I don't want that superficial stuff. That's what everybody says. Well, I'll tell you why it's so important to me. Because 2 years ago, my grandson had an accident and took his life. And that was the worst day of my life, of my family's life. And you know what? You don't think about having insurance on an 18-year-old kid. And nobody had anything on him. And so I'm his grandmother. And with his mother, we started a GoFundMe account. We went around asking family members and church members for money. And honestly, it was the hardest thing in my life that I ever did. And I promised myself, I'm never going to let my kids go through that. Wow. That's a pretty amazing experience, Miss Betty. How are you doing since then? And what made you decide to move forward with doing something like this? Well, it made an impact upon me for one thing, and it changed my life. And I'm realizing that the policy I have now for $7,000 is not going to be enough to take care of me and my daughter now. But being devil's advocate, I said, well, if your daughter just says, I'm just going to take care of myself. Well, she can't. Well, she's barely raising her own kids. You see how Miss Betty selling herself? Instead of me putting words in her mouth, I could easily say all that stuff myself. Well, Miss Betty, it's a good thing you sent that card in because you only got 7,000 and you really need a whole lot more than that. It's going to be buried, Miss Betty. And you know what? Your daughter probably doesn't have the money herself to go around asking people for money or maybe paying for herself, does she? Well, no, but she probably could. See how people start getting defensive? The credit method of seller says you'll learn more by asking than you will by telling. That goes with pretty much any relationship. Try it on a teenage kid, who's starting, their hormones are kicking in and they're starting to rebel a little bit. Try telling them everything to do versus asking questions. Watch the difference. Try it in a relationship. I mean, it's amazing to me. If I come across as humble, unassuming, and ask my wife, she wants me to go out the back and dig a ditch. And to my brain, I'm thinking, that's stupid. Honey, why is that so important to you that I do that? Well, because when it rains, the water is just washing right down the middle of our yard, and it's creating this gully, and it's washing all the grass away. Oh, okay. So you're looking for me to do something over here to divert the water. Oh, I see. I see what you're saying now. It's amazing what questions can do versus assuming things by the first answer. I'm not trying to tell you how to live your relationship. That's up to you. But I have been married for 40 years. It helps a little bit. I've been married longer than the Appels have. And Rob goes, not for long. I'm going to pass you, boy.
Oh my God.
And he goes. Oh, Rob heard that. Okay, that was good. All righty. So moving on next. Part of the need development section is, we get into the health assessment. There's forms in the back office on Google Drive where you can actually pluck those forms and walk you right through certain things to ask for in your health. If you don't have that form, look for it, search for it, ask around for it. It's important. That way you can find the prescription medications or health history, all those good things. You write down on a sheet. That way you're prepared for your phone call to your upline. We do your in and up. And you can call the person and say, this is what Miss Betty's taking and blah, blah, blah. Now, I like to use impact words and phrases. I like to get people excited about things. Well, Miss Betty, I think I might be able to help you. Remember, I said, I think, I don't say 100%, a little bit of doubt there. But Miss Betty, let me see if I can get you some discounts. Her ears perk up, her eyes perk up. Nobody else is seeing it, Miss Betty. And Miss Betty, do you use any tobacco? No, that's a huge discount, Miss Betty. Congratulations. You haven't smoked in 20 years. Good work. Keep it up, Miss Betty. And Miss Betty, do you use much alcohol? Oh, no. I quit that a long time ago. Good job, Miss Betty. You only use the rubbing kind, right? Oh, yeah. The green kind, the menthol. Oh, yeah. That's the best kind, Miss Betty. And Miss Betty, do you get any exercise? You do? You walk every day? Excellent, Miss Betty. Our companies like to see that. It prolongs your life and have better health. Last thing, Miss Betty, is a lot of the banks and credit unions give us discounts on our programs, like State Employees Credit Union, BB&T, Wells Fargo, Bank of America. Who do you use for your stuff typically, Miss Betty? You got Wells Fargo. Great. That's where they put your Social Security each month. Good job, Miss Betty. I'm also uncovering landmines here. How many Miss Betty goes, I don't have a bank account. I don't believe in them. I don't use them. Oh, no worries, Miss Betty. Then you probably get your Social Security then on the Direct Express card each month from the government. You do. Great. I need to know that now, not at the end of the presentation. Why? Here you are going down the road of selling her Mutual of Omaha, and she's all excited about it. And Mutual of Omaha doesn't take Direct Express card. You got her all excited about, Baltimore Life. They don't take a Direct Express card. You got to go Prosperity Life, Transamerica, Family Benefit. If you don't, then you could be whistling Dixie, they say down south. So you need to know these things ahead of time. Also, how about this one? He goes, yes, I use a State Employees Credit Union here. If you're in North Carolina, you know what I'm talking about. Now you go, oh, that's great, Miss Betty. We do a lot of business with them, which is what I do. You go all the way down, get down to the end, and you find out Miss Betty has a savings account with them. What's the problem with that? State Employees Credit Union does not draft for savings account. I learned that the hard way years ago. But if you're in North Carolina, you need to know that. So when I get here, the discount section, and she goes, I got a State Employees Credit Union. Oh, so you must have a checking account with them, Miss Betty, to put your Social Security into. Yes, I do. Or she goes, nope, all I have is a savings account. That's where my Social Security goes. What do you do now? What do you do now? I'm listening. Crickets, 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 crickets. Right? You got to figure out something to do. You got to think on your feet. No worries, Miss Betty. What I'm going to do is because they set this up where it's done automatically once a month through your bank or credit union, and the credit union does not take that out for you and set that up on a payment plan for you through your savings account. Go grab your purse and your jacket on the road to the State Employees Credit Union right now. We'll set up a checking account real quickly. That's what we do. Or you can go online and set up something. But to make it simple, if you're at the State Employees Credit Union, I'll take it right now and we'll set up a checking account. Those are things, that's why I'm trying to weed out stuff here in this section to make sure I don't have any landmines uncovered right there. Step 5, we covered the last couple of weeks, which is urgency. Remember, people are middle of the road thinkers. You're like that. Most everybody's like that. You don't want it too hot, don't want it too cold. You're warm. You want like warm, cozy, comfort in the middle. Most people are like that. You've got to either get them hot or cold. A lot of people forget the stage. A lot of people don't think about the stage. A lot of people don't remember that you've got to do something to create a sense of urgency. What's that going to be? Well, Miss Betty, based upon what you told me, it looks like you still might be able to qualify for one of these programs that are approved by the state of North Carolina, which I'm licensed to offer. It looks like you might be able to do that. Miss Betty, let me say this to you. You want to do this while your health is good and while your age is good. Because once you get unhealthy, they won't touch you with a 10-foot pole. What I'm trying to say, Miss Betty, is like what my mom said. Son, you can't wait to get 1 foot in the grave and one with a banana peel. I say, I wish I had more life insurance. Case in point, I saw a guy recently. He was on oxygen and still smoking, and he wanted more life insurance. I told him, I'm sorry, there's not a whole lot I can do for you, sir. He waited too long. 1 foot in the grave, on a banana peel. You learn to tell stories. You learn to use impact words and phrases here. Miss Betty, the reason why this is important, because somebody went to bed last night and didn't wake up this morning, unfortunately. Somebody went to bed last night, Miss Betty, and woke up with the news, which is bad news, of stage 4 cancer today. I want to say to you, while your health is good and your age is good, you're going to get some place before it's too late. Does that make sense? Create some sense of urgency through stories. Gosh, I can tell all kinds of stories here. I really can. I could go on for all night long telling you stories of people who waited too long. Find some, think of some, borrow some, use some, get some stories. And If you don't know of any, I'm sure that you can borrow some from somewhere. It's in the media all over the place, social media. Moving on next to the temperature check question. So now that I've gotten this in place, that looks like everything is going my way. I love throwing a temperature check question kind of midway. Miss Beatty, based upon what you've seen so far and what you've heard so far, if I could find you a real good company that offered affordable rates for this kind of stuff in order to protect Mary down the road, would it make more sense to be insured rather than uninsured? I'm checking to see if I've overcome all the objections. Well, actually, this sounds really good, but I can't do anything without my daughter. I snuffed out this objection before the end. And guess what? I am not giving any rates or anything until I get all buying parties there. Nope. So if you'll just leave me your rates, Gary, I'll run them across my daughter and I'll get back with you. Well, Miss Betty, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm running a little behind for my next appointment. My goal today was just really get to know you to see if you could even qualify for something. I need to take this information back to my office, calculate some things, see what's the best company for you, and then reset this appointment when I can be here with you and your daughter together. See, today is Monday, and she typically works till 5. What does it look like for you? Say, give me a day or two. Was Wednesday or Thursday best for you around 5:30 to 6? I'm rescheduling. I'm not giving rates, premium, nothing. You don't have all buying parties. That's why I'm doing a temperature check question right here. Oh, this sounds really good, Gary, but let's see here. It makes sense that we do this. I'm going to tell you what, my budget right now is so really tight that I can't really handle anything else at all whatsoever. I'm having to rob Peter to pay Paul right now. No worries, Miss Betty, I totally get it. So let me ask you a question. If there's something out there where we could create enough money to help you get another extra policy, would it make sense to have a little extra on hand so it won't be a burden to your daughter Mary down the road? If we can find a way to come up with some additional monies? Sure. If you can find a way on how you're going to do that, that's why I'm going to go to work for Miss Betty. I'm going to look at her policy. I'm going to see what she has. I'm going to see if we can reduce the premium. I'm going to see if we can create some cash value. I'm going to see if we can get a paid up policy. If I can't do that, Gary's going to get on the phone and call her. Call what? Call her cable company. I do. I call people's cable company for seniors. See if I can get them a senior discount. Miss Betty, why do you have 250 channels and you only watch 3? Do you need all these? No, it's running you $169 a month. How about taking the $89 a month plan, Miss Betty, and you still have your 3 favorite channels? Create some capital. Miss Betty, who do you have your wireless cell phone bill with? What do you have on it, if you don't mind me asking? See if I can save you some money. See if I can get you got what? Really? And that's all you do? You don't need all that? And they're charging $129 a month. Let me call them for you. It's be the same package with all those bells and whistles that you don't need is $69. How's that sound? Temperature check. I'm seeing what I got before I get down to the end. Why? Why do you do that? Because when you get down to the end and you got to do all this stuff there, then you start pushing instead of actually drawing them to you. You start selling instead of creating a buying atmosphere. I'm doing all this stuff now. Get down to the end, it's almost too late because it's hard. After temperature check, I'm selecting my right carrier. Miss Betty, based upon what you told me today, I'm going to select for you probably one of the best companies in America. This is what you call selling the sizzle, selling value, right? Miss Betty, based on what your health and your situation, Royal Neighbors of America is going to be best for you. Let me tell you why. This is a company that's owned by women, it was founded by women, and it's run by women. Pretty darn good company, right, Miss Betty? Been around since 1895. They're not a new kid on the block. They're A-rated. They started a company when it wasn't even popular for women to start a business, Miss Betty. It was not. People looked down upon women starting a business in 1895. They particularly started this business for women and children to help them with their sickness and with their health and with getting benefits. They are a for women company. They empower women to be better, do better, get more, be better in everything they do in life. They're going to send you a monthly magazine to talk about the things on how women can better themselves. It's really, because I own this policy. I know all about it. Did you hear what I just said? I own that policy for Rural Neighbors. I get that monthly magazine every month. I see what's inside of there. It's powerful for them. Not only that, Miss Betty, in addition to getting their whole life insurance at a discounted rate for women and taking the conditions that you have, they'll give you a lot of extra benefits at no cost to you. Such as, and there's a whole list of them that you can go down. A free will. Do you have your will, Miss Betty? No, you don't. You realize it costs you $200, $300, $400 to get a will. If you go to attorney someone, they provide a will for you, a free basic will, and help you update it ever so often. They also give you discounts, Miss Betty, on your prescriptions, on your hearing, on your vision, on your dental, and on your x-rays and checkups and stuff like that. And of course, this isn't medical insurance, this is a discount program to help you with things that may not be covered so well with your regular health insurance. They do all type of philanthropic type of things in the community, helping build things and put things together for kids and women. And one of the best companies in America. I want to tell you something else, Ms. Betty, probably the best. They pay their claims and pay them fast. They don't mess around. And they treat people with a lot of respect and loyalty and honor. So if I can get you qualified for them, not sure that I can, but if I can, they're probably one of the best companies in America. Here's a little brochure on them. How does that sound? Selling the sizzle, selling value. Know your companies. Hit the hot buttons. Now, in the back office in the Google Drive, and it could be on our new website now, our list of these carriers that we at Retirement Income Life have already put down bullet point sheets. That's what it's going to be called in Google Drive. Bullet point sheets of each one of those carriers you can do that with, and just go right down. Now, if you got to look at the bullet points, do it. But if you can see it from your heart with your eyes and look at Miss Betty with conviction, you're knocking out the competition because nobody else does that. They're just going, okay, now, Miss Betty, based upon your meds and your age, here's a company for you, Royal Neighbors. Now for 10,000, it's going to be, dude, that is so boring and so no enthusiasm, no excitement about who you represent. Nothing that gets Miss Betty off her chair and is going to make her move. You want to move people, and you move with a little enthusiasm, excitement about your. Do the same thing with Mutual of Omaha, Miss Betty. Okay. It looks like you're going to qualify for Mutual of Omaha. They've been around, Miss Betty, since.
It's gorgeous.
Okay, I don't know who's got the noise in the back. We're going to mute a few people. Okay, sorry about that, people. I'm having to mute you. All righty, and you just hit that. Miss Betty, remember growing up watching the Wild Kingdom? And 99% of these seniors go, yes. And if you're young, below the age of 40, you need to probably Google Wild Kingdom with Marlon Perkins, sponsored by Mutual of Omaha. My mom made me sit and watch that on Sunday nights, right? Know that stuff. Know that. Over 100-year-old company, A+ rated, pay their claims probably faster than anybody. As a matter of fact, you don't even have to send a claim form in the Mutual of Omaha anymore. They take the claim over the phone and they verify it. They're doing their own research that the person's passed away and get their own death certificate. It's a huge win for people. You better believe I'm going to tell people about this. And very few people can come close to them in their rates, Miss Betty. And you can trust them because of who they are. Know your carriers. Sell the sizzle. Get them excited about your carrier. And then from there, we go into next week of the closing worksheet. The 3-option close. This is where the sale is made right here. You've done all this hard work. Don't flub it up by not doing a great close. Now, I've been using this whole life insurance coverage worksheet for 15 years. And we have an updated one inside of Google Drive. It's really the same stuff. But I've gotten so used to this, I just use the same, I've just been using this one forever. It's the same thing. They're in the back office in Google Drive. And it's called the crescendo effect. Crescendo. You overwhelm the client with so much value, they think the thing is going to be $1,000 a month. But you learn to use your tone of voice and the high-low by saying it's only. And next week, we're going to practice this. We're going to go through this, and I'm going to show you how to do the crescendo effect by building value, 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 value. So after I go through the carrier, I say, Miss Betty, take a look at this brochure here. It's going to take me just a couple of minutes to calculate some high quality rates for you, something that's affordable for you, a discounted program from the state. All righty, so take a look at this brochure. Give me just a minute. I think it's important to give your client something to look at so you don't feel like they're kind of piercing over you and trying to figure out what you're doing. I remember years ago, I used to get so sweaty right here in my palms, so nervous, I'd be shaking. I learned to give them something to look at. Brochures, some third-party articles about people who waited too late. I got stuff clipped out from newspapers of people who talk about the importance of having final expense life insurance. Give people something to look at this stage while you're doing the rate calculation. Takes a little pressure off of you, makes them sit back just a little bit, and just kind of take a little breath of fresh air here while you're calculating the rates. It's really important. You don't rush yourself. Make sure you get it right. And I jot them down, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, or depend upon what the budget is, what they're looking for. I might do 5, 7, and 10. I might do 10, 12, and 15, depend upon where they are and what they're looking for. And what I do, and we'll go more into this next week, is I fold this under down here. Have it folded under, because I'm controlling the process. Everybody's eyes always go to the bottom whenever you get ready to present numbers. Well, they're not going to see any numbers from me because it's folded under. I'm not trying to hide anything. I'm just trying to control the flow of the presentation. I fold this under and I only show it when I get ready to. Because I'm getting ready to hit them with about 10 to 12 bullet points of value, 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 value. In my personal professional opinion, you never just come off of telling about the company and go, well, here's the prices for you, Miss Betty. No, 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 no. Before you show premium or price of anything you sell in life, always hit the value points first. And then you go, and it's only. Learn to do that, practice that. So I'll go. Well, Miss Betty, do you have any questions on anything you just read there in the brochures? No. Well, I think you're going to be really impressed with what I have figured up here for you. Up your tone, up your energy a little bit, not overbearing, up your enthusiasm. Be excited about your rates. Don't apologize for your rates. Don't come back and go, well, Miss Betty, whew, I tell you what, with your age and health and with everything, wow, it's going to be a whopper here. But anyway, here it is. What? Don't bring that negative vibe in my presentation. Don't be down and out in my presentation. You get excited about what you're doing. You never apologize for your prices. I don't care if it's $150 a month, $200 a month. That's a drop in the bucket compared to $10, $12, $15, $20,000 for a funeral. So you're excited about this. Miss Betty, any questions about what you just read? No? Boy, I got something figured for you. I think you'll be pretty impressed with what I have. First and foremost, I got the page turned upside down, so she can see it, folded under, and I'm going through these bullet points. First and foremost, Miss Betty, this is whole life insurance. It's not term. It's never going to end for you. This is guaranteed benefits. I'm underlining this stuff. This is a worksheet, so make it interactive. It's guaranteed to pay the benefits. It's the only type of policy, Miss Betty, that can put guaranteed benefits on it. Why? Term can't do that. Neither can Index Universal Life. Only whole life can. This is permanent coverage. It's regulated by the state. I circle that. I'm licensed by the state, as I showed you earlier. A reminder of that. Miss Betty, the good news is You don't have to get any physicals, no stinking blood work, and no medical exams to qualify. Isn't that great? Miss Betty, also, this because it's whole life, it builds cash value. You can tap in that cash value down the road if you need to, borrow on it if you need to, or use it for whatever you like. Also, Miss Betty, I think the big point about this whole life policy, you cannot, underline this, be canceled as long as you pay the premiums. Miss Betty, you never will have a rate increase, no premium increase at all as long as you live. Miss Betty, the coverage is never reduced no matter how old you get or how unhealthy you get. Doesn't matter how long you live or what your health turns out 10, 15, 20 years down the road, coverage stays the same. Isn't that great? The money inside this policy, Miss Betty, goes directly to your daughter, Mary. See, I get off that beneficiary bandwagon. I make it personal, because that means something to her. Beneficiary means nothing. Your daughter, Mary. Miss Betty's going to pay your daughter, Mary, regardless of the little policy you already have in place now. Also, Miss Betty, it pays your daughter, Mary, if I get you approved, immediately. No waiting period at all whatsoever. It's not like that plan with Colonial Penn that you used to see with Alex Trebek. That's a 2-year waiting period. Or other policies you buy through the mail has a 2-year waiting period. This is a biggie, Miss Betty. It's one of the few things you can leave your daughter income tax free. Everything else you own, you try to pass it to Miss Mary, it's going to be taxed to death. Miss Betty, I want to have your policy out in place. I'm assuming the sale all through this. If I have your policy out in place in 10 to 14 days, I want to come back. I want to show you that it's covered exactly like I said. Probably the biggest thing, Miss Betty, I'm going to be your agent for life. You won't have to call some toll-free number and hit 1 for Spanish or 2 for India. Ha, ha, ha. She always laughs. You'll be dealing directly with me. While everybody else is bringing your daughter, Mary, bills, I'll be one of the few that'll be bringing her a check. Isn't that great, Miss Betty? Remember, this part down here is folded under so she can't see this. Miss Betty, get all these benefits. You get whole life. You take the burden off your daughter. I think you might be pleased. For $10,000 worth of an instant bank account of coverage, it's only $32.17. For $15,000, Miss Betty, it's only $59.12. And for $20,000, it's only $73.14. Of course, Miss Betty, nobody knows our future. Only the good man above knows what tomorrow brings. Bringing back in that Southeast Bible Belt. Think the way Miss Betty thinks, the way she sees things. Nobody knows what tomorrow brings, Miss Betty. Only a good man above knows what tomorrow brings. But to bless your daughter, Mary, to take the burden off of her, which one of these would best meet your needs or suit your situation the most? A, B, or C? B, that's our most popular plan, Miss Betty. It's one most of our clients take. Now I'm most popular plan. Everybody's getting it. That's the most one everybody chooses, Miss Betty. That's what I'm going to recommend for you anyway. The good news about Rural Neighbors, Miss Betty, if you ever want to go up to here, as long as your health is good, you can. Or if you find yourself in a penny pinch and crunch situation, they'll let you drop back to here if you need to. But while your health is good and your age is good, I'm going to see if I can get you qualified for this plan right here, Miss Betty. The good news is Rural Neighbors doesn't take any money up front. They set this up where it's done automatically once a month through your credit union. They'll take care of it for you on the day that you want it. What's usually the best day for you for your credit union to take care of that for you? On the 3rd of each month? Great. Let me see if I can get you qualified, Miss Betty. I just need to see a picture ID. And you pull out your iPad and you keep your head down and you're assuming the sale because I've created a buying atmosphere, not a selling atmosphere. I'm not selling anything now. I'm really totally into buying atmosphere. Keep my head down, iPad out, and Miss Betty's getting up to go get her license or her ID. Next week, we're going to go into more detail about this, talk about the psychology behind all this closing worksheet, why it's important, why the crescendo effect, why the value, and then learning to say at the end, and it's only It could have been 100, 150, or 200. I'm going to go and Miss Betty get all these benefits. And for the 25,000 plan, it's only 100 or 150 or whatever. And that's what I'm going to go through each and every time. It's going to be only. I'm going to show you how to close it up, assume the sale, and then we'll show you how to button it up, brand yourself, keep it on the books, which is probably the most important things. We ran over a little bit tonight. Let's stop here for tonight and see if you've got any questions, comments, thoughts, suggestions. Put them in the chat line if you do. If you want to come off of mute, got a question, you're welcome to do that as well. I'm entertaining any questions, any comments, any thoughts at this point. Hit me with your best shot. Fire.
Great.
on.
Great
Gary,
call,
how
brother.
do we get access to that Google Drive?
Is this Johnny?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Rob Appel, can we post that on the team
Yeah,
chat?
so if anybody needs access to it, just text me your email address. That's all I need. It has to be a Gmail address though.
Gotcha. Thanks.
I forgot that was a secret Google Drive for only top performers, and so I wasn't sure who he was giving that to. No, just kidding. That was a joke, Johnny. Johnny's gonna say, "I'm going to show you." Yes, thanks for asking that question, Johnny. Yes, that Google Drive is pretty awesome. Got some great stuff inside of it, from all the closing worksheet, the bullet point sheets, everything. Or who else has got a question, comment? Who needs something out there? Who needs some worksheets, some carrier information? Who needs anything?
Can we have your there was a script that you particularly had that you were going through before. Can we have that?
You mean script of the whole presentation?
Yes, it was very descriptive. Absolutely.
Oh, yes. Did I send that out at one time? I can't even remember if I did in the beginning or something.
No, I don't recall you doing that. You would just pull it up when you were teaching.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The one that I showed through here. Okay. Yeah. I can shoot that over to you. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Questions, comments, thoughts, suggestions? All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great evening. Haven't had dinner yet. You shouldn't eat dinner this late at night. It's been one of those days. So listen, study hard, take notes, apply, practice, fall on your face, get back up, try again. And the more you do it, the better off you're going to get. Keep attending these training sessions and other training sessions in the company, because you will get better at what you're doing. The more you listen to it, the more you practice, and the more you put it to effect. Until we meet again next week, same bat time, same bat place, and the same bat station. Good luck and good selling.
Thanks, Gary.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you. Take care.